Hello everyone, so I've been trying to make this video for a good while now. It's now 3 weeks since the Race to the King 53k. The 3k is important, the extra 3k. So I'm going to go for a bit of a recap in that in a moment. Our last video we had out on the channel was 3 months ago now, so yeah, a good while. That was the South Downs Way 50, which Carla and I were both doing as our final big race before our wedding, which we had in May. So that's part of the reason I haven't put up videos recently, just because we were doing a lot of planning around the wedding. I also had quite a lot of work things, but our wedding was amazing. Really good day. Weather was a bit dodgy, so we had 40-mile-an-hour winds and rain on the day, which Carla said kind of reminded her of her ultra marathon. She tends to get quite bad luck with the weather on race day, so wedding day was of course no different. And we did of course have a few nods to running in there. Running is quite a big part of our lives, so a few things. We had our wedding venue quite near the South Downs firstly, so it's not far from the start of the South Downs Way 50 actually, so just round the corner from Sisbury Ring. So we got up there the day before our wedding and had a nice run, pre-wedding run. Secondly, on our tables we did have some places of significance, and several of those related to running. So we had Ditchling Beacon as one of the names, which is somewhere we're often running, just near where we got engaged as well. Then also we had a medal ceremony during our wedding day as well, which was for my best men and my brother, because the stag do that I did was a 2-day trek across the South Downs, so a very non-conventional stag do. So we had a bit of a medal ceremony there to award them for their efforts and for braving it, making it through the stag do. This next person packed the most, including 4 slices of pizza, and they had to be talked out of wearing leather winkle pickers and bringing a guitar along. And I should also point out, most of these things ended up being carried by someone else, and that person was Algie, who had of course the least things. So yeah, round of applause for Dan. So yeah, amazing day overall, really good just to have friends and family together, a lot of people we hadn't seen in a while. So yeah, just brilliant, really good. Stayed here right with me, I can't shake that feeling. So Race to the King 50k, this was a race that I'd been wanting to do for a while. It's a local classic, but it had always clashed in previous years with other races that I'd wanted to do. So this year, finally, I had nothing else on in June and I signed up. And it's really good because they've got 3 options that you can do on the day. So there's the 53k, which is the Castle Loop, which I was doing. That has about 1,000 meters of climbing. It's along the South Downs Way and also the Monarch's Way, which I hadn't run too much on before. There's also a Coastal Loop, which is 50k, and it's less hilly, so it's about maybe 300-400 meters of elevation, though with a couple of fairly sizable climbs towards the end. And then finally they have a 100k option, which is where you do the 2 loops. So you do the Coastal Loop first and then you do the Castle Loop. So options for everyone, but very good atmosphere on the start line, so very inclusive as a race. Quite a chilled start line atmosphere, I'd say. And also you get a free meal at the end. There's not many ultras that give you a free meal at the end, but this is one of them, and I love an ultra with a free meal. So yeah, that was really good. They also had something that I could eat because my diet is quite specific. I'm vegan and gluten-free, so awkward middle part of the Venn diagram. So yeah, that was really good. I could eat something at the end. In terms of other things about the course, because it was so hot, it got up to 28 degrees, the organisers actually put on extra water points, so between aid stations, and I mean that was a lifesaver on the day, just because it got really hot after a couple of hours into the race. So that was really good. The best course signage that I've ever seen too. So in terms of the route, it was very obvious, easy to follow. I mean, I had the GPX on my watch anyway, on my Coros, but the signage absolutely fantastic, really good. And the guy said at the briefing, one of the race organisers, if you don't see a course sign within a minute, then you know you've probably gone wrong. So that's how regularly spaced they are. So again, just something that's really good for those maybe who are less good with navigation, or maybe a bit nervous about the navigation aspect of the race. So good. The other thing that was pretty unique about Race to the King was that you didn't have to have any mandatory kit whatsoever. So I actually thought, well, I'm going to use this as a chance to run as light as possible, and that meant I didn't actually take the camera with me during the race, but Carla did manage to get some footage at the start and at the end. So all I had in my pack, in fact I wasn't wearing this pack, I was wearing my Salomon 12 litre, but all I had in there was a couple of bottles. I had my race nutrition, so I had some Velo Forte gels, some Lucio Delito guava blocks, and that was it. I think I didn't have a phone with me. I didn't have any other tops because it was really hot, as I said, got up to 28 degrees. So yeah, it was nice to be able to run very, very light, especially in that heat. So I'd initially planned to try and run a 50k PB. I hadn't run a 50k in 3 years. This was my first 50k for a while, and my PB was from several years ago. My watch PB 4:33, but that was during a 6-hour time trial where I ran 42 miles, but on a flatter course. So I thought maybe something around 4:30 I could go for, maybe a bit over, because of course this is 53k rather than 50k. So that was the plan, and I'd had some good training in the lead up to the race. Not ideal in terms of volume. I hadn't quite managed to fit in as much volume as I wanted to, but I did get some good training runs in there, some 2 and 3 hour runs at race pace and a bit above race pace. But then of course I saw the weather for the day, and it was looking to be really hot. And if there's one thing I dislike more than anything, it is trying to run fast in the heat. I've had some pretty hot races in the past. So when we went out and did the UTS race last year, UTS 100k, there was a bit of a heat wave. That was up to 27, 28 degrees. Last year for the Swiss Alps 100k, that was, you know, again really hot, up to 30 degrees. But then, you know, I typically find if it's a longer ultra and you're slower anyway, you can just take it really easy in the heat. And it doesn't feel easy, of course, but you just cut right back. So going into race day, I thought I might have a quicker first couple of hours because we were starting at 6:50 in the morning, nice early start before the proper heat of the day. And I also did something that I've done in the past. I set off with an ice bandana. So I rolled up some ice into a bandana, had it sitting there on the back of my neck for the first couple of hours, and that did the job. You know, first couple of hours of the race, not much to report. I was keeping up a good pace. So it's 23k, I went through in 4th place. I think I was about 3 minutes back from the leader, and I was generally happy with my pacing up until that point. It did get suddenly very hot. There was a flat section in the middle of the race, which on paper I thought, oh, that'd be a nice runnable section that I can just maintain a really good pace at. But yeah, that was where I really started to feel the heat, and I managed to keep it going a fair pace along the tarmac there, but there were also some rutted areas, some more overgrown areas. So whilst it was flat, actually it was quite hard going, and that alongside it being quite exposed, you know, things were taking their toll. It was getting pretty tricky. But my mantra for the day was really just to make good decisions, and that meant, you know, keeping as cool as possible. I put my hat in water whenever I could, chuck water over my head, kept the nutrition and fluids going. I think I had more fluid per hour on this run than I have in any other. And also just to try and strike that balance of keeping nutrition going in but not overloading the stomach. In the end I had on average 44 grams of carbs per hour, which isn't too much for me, but given the heat I thought I don't want to push the stomach too much, and I think I managed to strike that balance in the end. So at the last aid station, that was where I overtook the person who was in 3rd place. That was at about 25 miles in, and then about a mile on, that was where I came across 2nd place, who was suffering with cramp. So I then moved into 2nd, and then for the final maybe 6 miles or so, it was just really trying to keep pushing. I was still walking bits and stopping, really feeling the heat, but just trying to keep as much of a pace going as I could. But it really felt like slow motion towards the finish, really.
Castle Route, which is up Valley of Dowdale. Congratulations! Here is our first place athlete. It's Dean Harrison!
Ben, keep going that way.
It's our 2nd place
Keep going.
It's actually about 50 people.
You got it.
Congratulations to you, Benedict O'Connell!
So I made it to the end. I came out with, I think, 5:09 something in the end. Not a particularly fast time for a 50k podium, but you know, we take the victories or second places in this case. And overall I was really proud of my race. Even though I hadn't got my PB, I had slogged it out in the heat, and also I think ran quite a sensible race, as sensible as I could have done in terms of nutrition and keeping pretty cool. So that was my Race to the King 50k. If you've got any questions about the race, do pop them in the comments below, particularly if you're thinking of doing it, you want to know anything more about what it's like. And coming up soon on the channel, we're going to be talking about plans for next year. Carla and I are starting to book in some races, some bucket list races, so we'll be talking about those on the channel very, very soon. So thanks for watching everyone, enjoy your running, and we'll see you all in the next video.